Picture this. You wake up on a Sunday morning, sunlight streaming through your kitchen window. You reach into your refrigerator and grab a handful of strawberries, plump, vibrant, and glistening with morning dew. You bite into one, and that first burst of sweetness hits your palate. It's simple, it's nourishing, it feels pure. But here's what you don't see: the journey those strawberries took to reach your table. And more importantly, the invisible world inside your gut that's about to be transformed by what you're about to eat. For decades, we've been told that the way we grow our food doesn't really matter. A strawberry is a strawberry, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. The truth is, the difference between a strawberry grown in rich, living soil and one cultivated in nutrient enriched water is as profound as the difference between a symphony and a solo note. One speaks to your entire being, the other, well, it's still pretty good, but something essential might be missing. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most important health decisions you might not even realize you're making. We're exploring the hidden world of hydroponic versus soil grown strawberries, and specifically, what these two fundamentally different approaches mean for the most sophisticated ecosystem in your body, your gut microbiome. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your choice of strawberry isn't just about taste or convenience. It's about feeding an entire universe of bacteria that quite literally determines whether you're thriving or merely surviving. It's about understanding how the food you eat shapes not just your physical health, but your mental clarity, your energy levels, and your long-term vitality. Stay with me. Let's set the stage. For thousands of years, strawberries grew in soil, real soil, rich with microorganisms, minerals, organic matter, and life, the kind of soil that smells earthy and rich after a rain. Soil that teems with complexity that we're only beginning to understand. Then, about 50 years ago, humanity asked a question that would change everything. What if we grew food without soil at all? The answer? Hydroponics. The concept is elegant in its simplicity. Instead of roots searching through soil for nutrients, plants are suspended in nutrient-rich water solutions. The entire environment, light, temperature, humidity, nutrient concentration, is meticulously controlled. It's farming as engineering. It's agriculture meets Silicon Valley. It's humans saying, we can do better than nature. We can optimize. We can perfect. And the results? They're impressive, at least on the surface. Hydroponic systems produce higher yields. They can produce up to 3 times more crops per square foot than traditional farming. They use 90% less water than traditional farming. They eliminate soil-borne diseases. They allow year-round production, regardless of season or climate. They reduce pesticide use because the controlled environment minimizes pest problems. From an environmental and economic standpoint, hydroponics looks like the future. It looks like the solution to feeding our growing global population. But here's where our story gets interesting. In 2015, a groundbreaking study from the University of Nevada compared hydroponically grown strawberries directly with soil-grown strawberries. The researchers wanted to know, can the average person even tell the difference? Can consumers actually distinguish between the two? The answer shocked them. 87% of participants could identify differences between the two types of strawberries. And here's the kicker: 70% actually preferred the hydroponically grown berries. They found them sweeter, fresher, and more appealing. But, and this is crucial, the preference wasn't statistically significant. The difference was marginal, meaning what people thought they preferred and what was actually better for them might be two very different things. Because here's what happened when the researchers dug deeper. They discovered that hydroponic strawberries were significantly higher in vitamin C, tocopherol, or vitamin E, and total polyphenolic compounds by 74%, 53%, and 22% respectively. These are impressive numbers on a nutrition label. Sound like a win for hydroponics, right? Except, the soil-grown strawberries were higher in glucose and fructose. They had higher Brix values, a measure of sugar content and flavor complexity that determines how sweet and flavorful a fruit actually tastes. And most importantly, they came with something hydroponically grown strawberries couldn't offer: a microbiome. A living, diverse community of microorganisms that shaped how the strawberry developed and what nutrients it contains. Before we can understand which strawberry is better for your gut, we need to understand what your gut actually is. And spoiler alert, it's not just a tube that processes food. Your gut is an ecosystem, a civilization, a universe unto itself. It's more complex than the rainforest. It's more diverse than any habitat on Earth. Inside your intestinal tract right now, There are approximately 100 trillion microorganisms. That's more bacteria than there are stars in the Milky Way. Let that sink in for a moment. There are more living creatures inside you than there are stars in our galaxy. These aren't invaders. They're not enemies. They're partners in the most intimate collaboration of your life. They're you, in a very real sense. Your gut microbiome, the collective community of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microorganisms living in your digestive system, influences your immune function. 70% of your immune system lives in your gut, not in your bones, not in your lymph nodes, but right there in your intestines. It influences your mental health. The gut brain axis means your gut bacteria literally influence your mood, anxiety, and cognitive function. Through chemical messengers and neural pathways, your gut is talking to your brain right now. It influences your metabolism. Your microbiome determines how efficiently you process food, how much energy you extract from what you eat, and how your body stores fat. It influences your inflammation levels. A healthy microbiome reduces systemic inflammation, which is connected to almost every chronic disease, and it influences your nutrient absorption. You could eat the healthiest food in the world, but if your microbiome isn't functioning optimally, you won't absorb it. You won't get the benefits. Here's the thing that most people don't understand. You are not just you are a walking ecosystem. Your cells? You have about 37 trillion of those, but your microbiota? They outnumber your human cells. In terms of genetic material, you're about 99% bacteria. You're more bacteria than human. That's not depressing, that's beautiful. That's you at your most complex. So when we talk about feeding yourself, we're really talking about feeding two entities, your human cells and your bacterial partners. When you eat, you're feeding both, and what you feed them matters. Now here's where strawberries come in. In 2021, researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles conducted a remarkable study. They took healthy adults and had them consume freeze-dried strawberry powder, the equivalent of about 1.75 servings of fresh strawberries daily for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Not months, not years, but just 4 weeks. What they discovered was nothing short of revolutionary. Within just 4 weeks, regular strawberry consumption led to significant changes in the participants' gut microbiota. Specifically, the abundance of beneficial bacteria increased dramatically. The microbiome shifted. It transformed. It evolved. Species like Akkermansia mucinifila, a bacterium associated with lean body weight, longevity, and improved metabolic health, bloomed in these participants' guts. This bacterium is like a gatekeeper of your intestinal barrier. It maintains the integrity of the wall between your gut and your bloodstream. Other beneficial bacteria from the Christensenalaceae, Mogobacteriaceae, and Bifidobacteriaceae families also flourished. These families of bacteria are associated with better digestion, improved immune function, and reduced inflammation. But here's what's critical. The researchers didn't just measure bacterial populations. They measured bile acid metabolism. They looked at what these bacteria were actually doing. Your bile acids are signaling molecules produced by your liver. When your gut bacteria metabolize these bile acids, they create secondary bile acids, compounds that influence your inflammation levels, your blood glucose regulation, and your gut barrier integrity. They influence whether you develop metabolic syndrome, they influence your risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. The strawberry consumers showed a dramatic shift in their bile acid profiles. Specifically, they showed a reduction in certain secondary bile acids that are associated with inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Their entire metabolic system shifted within 4 weeks. The researchers' conclusion? Strawberries aren't just food, they're a prebiotic, a substance that feeds beneficial bacteria and creates conditions for optimal gut health. Strawberries are medicine. They're pharmaceutical-grade medicine, but naturally sourced and without side effects. But, and here's the critical question, does this work the same way for all strawberries? Or do the growing methods matter? Does a hydroponically grown strawberry have the same prebiotic power as a soil-grown one? This is where things get fascinating, because while both strawberries contain the fiber and polyphenols that feed your microbiome, there's a fundamental difference in how they got there. Soil-grown strawberries develop in an environment teeming with microbial life. The soil itself is alive, rich with bacteria, fungi, mycorrhizal networks, and countless other microorganisms. A single teaspoon of healthy soil contains more microorganisms than there are humans on Earth. As the strawberry plant grows through this matrix, it's constantly interacting with this microbial community. The plant's roots are touching millions of microbes. They're exchanging chemical signals, they're trading resources. This isn't just incidental, it's foundational. It's the basis of how the plant develops, how it captures energy, and how it stores nutrients. Research from the University of Florida demonstrated something remarkable. The rhizosphere, the layer of soil immediately surrounding plant roots, contains a completely different microbial community than the bulk soil. It's as if each plant creates its own custom microbiome. The plant actually recruits certain bacteria. It attracts them with chemical signals. It nurtures them. When soil-grown strawberries develop, they're bathed in the metabolites and signaling molecules produced by this microbial community. The plant actually communicates with these bacteria, trading sugars for nutrients and protective compounds. It's a negotiation. It's a relationship. The plant says, I will give you sugar if you give me nitrogen. They agree. They cooperate. This interaction shapes the strawberry's nutritional profile in ways we're only beginning to understand. The plant develops different flavonoids, it produces different polyphenols, it synthesizes different antioxidants, all in response to what the microbes are asking for. Now, hydroponic strawberries develop in a completely sterile environment. There are no soil bacteria, no fungal networks, no complex microbial interactions. The plant receives perfectly formulated nutrients delivered directly to its roots. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all the macronutrients, all the micronutrients, exactly calculated, exactly proportioned. From a plant physiology standpoint, this is actually very efficient. The plant doesn't have to negotiate with microbes for nutrients. It gets exactly what it needs, when it needs it. There's no waste. There's no inefficiency. This is why hydroponic strawberries often have higher levels of certain vitamins and minerals. They're optimized for nutrient uptake. The plant is getting premium fuel, and it's using that fuel to produce vitamins. But here's what they don't get: the full spectrum of bioactive compounds that develop through plant-microbe interaction. They don't get the polyphenols that develop when the plant is defending itself against mild stressors. They don't get the complex flavonoids that emerge from chemical communication with fungi. A 2023 study published in BMC Plant Biology directly compared soil-grown and hydroponically grown strawberries of the exact same variety, meaning the genetic code was identical. The only difference was how they were grown. The findings were striking. Soil-grown strawberries had significantly higher total phenolic content and antioxidant capacity. These are the compounds that feed your beneficial bacteria and reduce inflammation in your gut. The numbers weren't even close. Soil-grown strawberries had substantially more of these compounds. Hydroponic strawberries, despite having higher individual vitamins, had lower overall antioxidant capacity. The vitamin C was higher, but the total antioxidant power was lower. Think of it this way: hydroponic strawberries are like a multivitamin. They give you specific, measurable nutrients. They give you nutrients that show up on lab tests. Soil-grown strawberries are like a complex whole food supplement. They give you compounds in their full context, in the combinations they developed in nature. They work synergistically. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let's address the elephant in the room: pesticides. Here's what most people believe: organic soil-grown strawberries have no pesticides. Conventional strawberries are drenched in chemicals. Hydroponic strawberries are pesticide-free. Here's what's actually true, and it's more nuanced. Recent comprehensive research published in 2025 analyzed strawberries for 850 different pesticide residues. 850. They tested for every pesticide ever used in farming. What they found? 61.6% of conventional soil-grown strawberries contained detectable pesticide residues. That's a big number, but here's what's important. Only 6.5% exceeded European maximum residue limits. Only 6.5%. Even when residues were detected, they were at levels far below what regulatory bodies consider safe. The residues were there, but they were tiny. Here's the critical insight: a pesticide being present is not the same as a pesticide being harmful. What matters is the dose. What matters is concentration. A fundamental principle in toxicology states, the dose makes the poison. Arsenic is toxic. Water is toxic in extreme quantities. Even oxygen is toxic if you breathe it at high pressure. But the dose determines whether something is medicine or murder. The dose determines whether something harms you or helps you. When regulatory bodies like the EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority, establish maximum residue limits, they set them at levels 100 to 1,000 times lower than what animal studies show causes no adverse effects. Then they apply additional safety factors. They're being incredibly conservative. The bottom line from multiple peer-reviewed studies: even conventional strawberries with detectable pesticide residues pose negligible health risks. The health benefit from eating a conventional strawberry far outweighs any potential risk from pesticide residues. Now, here's where hydroponics and organic farming genuinely differ. Hydroponic systems drastically reduce pesticide use because the controlled environment minimizes pest problems. A 2015 study comparing hydroponic and soil-grown strawberries found that hydroponic plants had an 80% survival rate after 1 year, while soil-grown plants had only 46% survival, primarily due to pest pressures that required more intensive pest management. When pests can't get to your plants because they're suspended in sterile nutrient solution, you don't need pesticides. It's that simple. Organic farming relies on natural pest management, but often requires more labor-intensive interventions and still uses approved natural pesticides. Organic strawberries might use sulfur dust or neem oil or other natural compounds. These are safer than synthetic pesticides, but they're still pest control measures. But here's the thing: when it comes to your gut, the pesticide question is actually secondary to a bigger question. What's feeding your microbiome? What compounds are you actually ingesting that will feed your bacterial partners? Let's get to the heart of the matter. Which strawberry is actually better for your gut? The answer depends on what we're measuring. Different strawberries offer different benefits. For vitamin delivery, hydroponics wins. Hydroponic strawberries contain higher levels of vitamin C and vitamin E. Your gut benefits from these antioxidants. Your immune system appreciates them. Vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis and immune function. It's the nutrient your white blood cells use to fight infections. For prebiotic content, soil-grown wins decisively. Soil-grown strawberries contain significantly higher levels of polyphenols and phenolic compounds. These are the substances your beneficial bacteria actually eat. They're your microbiome's preferred fuel. When bacteria consume polyphenols, they ferment them, creating energy for themselves and beneficial byproducts for you. Here's what happens when your gut bacteria consume these polyphenols. They ferment them, producing short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyrate. Butyrate is absolutely critical for gut health. It's the most important compound for your intestines. It strengthens your intestinal barrier by providing energy to the cells that line your colon. It reduces inflammation by signaling your immune cells to calm down. It feeds the cells lining your colon. These cells need butyrate to survive and thrive, and it influences your entire immune response by priming your immune system and creating a state of immune tolerance. A groundbreaking 2021 study in nutrition research found that when people consumed freeze-dried strawberry powder, which contained soil-derived polyphenols, their gut microbiota showed marked improvements. Measurable improvements. The diversity increased, the beneficial bacteria increased, the inflammation markers decreased, but the effect was specifically tied to the polyphenol content, not to individual vitamins. The vitamin C didn't matter as much as the polyphenols. For overall antioxidant capacity, soil-grown wins significantly. A comprehensive 2023 study published in BMC Plant Biology measured the total antioxidant capacity of soil-grown versus hydroponically grown strawberries of the same variety. Soil-grown strawberries showed dramatically higher antioxidant capacity, even though individual vitamin levels were sometimes lower. Why? Because antioxidants work synergistically. They work better together than individually. It's the same principle as why eating an apple is better than consuming isolated apple polyphenols extracted in a lab. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. For fiber content, they're essentially equivalent. Both hydroponic and soil-grown strawberries contain approximately 2 to 3 grams of fiber per cup. Your gut bacteria love this fiber. They eat it. They ferment it. They produce those precious short-chain fatty acids from it. But here's the key: fiber only works when it meets healthy bacteria. If you have a depleted microbiome, which millions of people do due to antibiotics, processed foods, and stress, that fiber might just pass through without providing benefit. You can have all the fiber in the world, but if you don't have bacteria to ferment it, it's just bulk. Here's something that rarely gets discussed, but it's absolutely fundamental. Soil contains microbes. Hydroponic systems don't. Now, I'm not suggesting you should eat dirt. That's not what this is about. But hear me out. Research from the Human Microbiome Project and similar initiatives has shown something remarkable. People who are regularly exposed to diverse microbial environments have more resilient gut microbiomes, more diverse, more stable, more adaptable. A study published in Frontiers in Microbiology in 2025 examined the microbiomes of people living in different agricultural regions. Those with regular exposure to soil microbes through gardening, barefoot walking on grass, or consuming fresh vegetables from soil had significantly more diverse and resilient gut bacteria. Their microbiomes were stronger, they were more resistant to illness. Why? Because exposure to diverse environmental microbes essentially trains your immune system. It's like a practice drill for your gut associated immune tissue. Your immune system sees new antigens, it learns, it develops more sophisticated responses, it becomes stronger. When you eat a soil grown strawberry, you're not just consuming the strawberry, you're also exposed to trace amounts of beneficial soil bacteria. These bacteria don't colonize your gut permanently. You have 100 trillion bacteria already established there, and your gut is selective about what stays and what goes. Your gut has sophisticated mechanisms to determine which bacteria are friendly and which are threats. But they do something else. They stimulate your immune system. They present novel antigens. They activate immune responses that strengthen your gut barrier. They're like a training exercise for your immune system. This phenomenon, called the microbial exposure hypothesis, suggests that one reason rates of inflammatory bowel disease and other gut disorders have increased is partly due to our increasingly sterile food environment. We're eating too cleanly. We're eating food that's been sterilized. Your grandmother ate vegetables with soil still clinging to them. She handled chickens fresh from the farm. She worked in the garden. Her microbiome was exposed to constant microbial diversity. You buy pre-washed, sterilized produce in plastic packaging. You never touch soil. You're exposed to a tiny fraction of the microbial diversity your ancestors were exposed to. The difference in your microbiome? It's measurable, and it's significant, and it has consequences for your health. Let's talk about what each type of strawberry actually offers your gut. Soil-grown strawberries deliver polyphenols and ellagic acid, which feed beneficial bacteria and reduce cancer risk. Anthocyanins, which reduce inflammation in your gut and throughout your body. Fiber, which feeds your microbiome and maintains intestinal integrity. Diverse antioxidants, which work synergistically to protect gut cells from oxidative damage. Vitamin C, which supports immune function and collagen synthesis. Trace minerals, including manganese, which supports gut barrier function and bone health. Microbial exposure, which trains your immune system and creates resilience. And glucose and fructose at higher levels, which feed beneficial bacteria and provide quick energy. Total antioxidant capacity, higher. Polyphenol diversity, higher. Prebiotic potential, higher. Hydroponic strawberries deliver vitamin C at higher levels, which supports immune function and prevents scurvy. Vitamin E or tocopherol at higher levels, which protects gut cells from oxidative damage. Polyphenols, which still significantly feed beneficial bacteria but at lower levels than soil-grown berries. Fiber, which feeds your microbiome and supports digestive health. Consistent nutrient levels, which provide reliable nutrition delivery and predictable health benefits. Lower pesticide exposure, which reduces toxin load on your body and liver. And year-round availability, which provides consistent access to nutrients and prevents seasonal deficiencies. Total antioxidant capacity, lower. Polyphenol diversity, lower. Prebiotic potential, good but not optimal. Now, let's synthesize all this research into a coherent answer. Which strawberry is better for your gut? The honest answer is, it depends on your individual circumstances. The best strawberry for you depends on your health status, your current microbiome health, and your specific health goals. But let me break it down into clear categories so you can make an informed decision. If you have a compromised microbiome, IBS, inflammatory bowel disease, leaky gut syndrome, or a history of antibiotic use, soil-grown strawberries are superior. They're significantly better. Why? Because you need prebiotic compounds to feed your beneficial bacteria back to health. You need diverse polyphenols. You need the full spectrum of antioxidants working together. You need to rebuild your microbiome from the ground up. A 2023 study in Frontiers in Nutrition found that people with inflammatory bowel conditions showed the most improvement when consuming polyphenol-rich foods from diverse sources. They needed that diversity. They needed that prebiotic power. The higher vitamin content of hydroponic strawberries won't help if you don't have healthy bacteria to support your immune system. You need to feed your bacteria first. If you have a healthy microbiome but want to maintain and optimize it, soil-grown strawberries are still superior, but hydroponic strawberries are perfectly adequate. They're good enough. A healthy microbiome is resilient. It can thrive on either type of strawberry. It can adapt. But if you have access to soil-grown strawberries, the research suggests they'll provide better long-term microbiome support and optimization. If you have specific nutritional deficiencies, low vitamin C, low vitamin E, documented insufficiency, hydroponic strawberries are ideal. They're exactly what you need. The higher vitamin content directly addresses these deficiencies. It targets the problem, and your gut will still benefit from the fiber and remaining polyphenols. If your concern is pesticide exposure, if you're worried about chemicals, hydroponic strawberries are cleaner. They're pesticide-free, but conventional strawberries are safe. All research indicates that strawberry pesticide residues, even in conventional berries, are at safe levels. The dose is too low to cause harm. However, if you're concerned about chemical exposure, if you want peace of mind, hydroponic strawberries offer that with zero pesticide use. Here's what's really important to understand. This isn't about strawberries specifically. It's about a fundamental shift happening in how we grow food. We're moving away from complexity and toward control, from biodiversity and toward monoculture optimization, from working with nature and toward engineering around it. And while this has benefits, efficiency, consistency, reduced environmental impact in some ways, it also has costs that we're only beginning to understand. There are trade-offs. Every choice has consequences. Your gut microbiome evolved over millions of years in an environment saturated with microbial diversity. Every meal your ancestors ate came with a side dose of beneficial bacteria. Every vegetable had soil on it. Every berry had been touched by countless microbes. Your ancestors consumed bacteria with every meal. Intentionally or not, they were constantly inoculating their guts with new microbes. Your gut adapted to this. Your immune system developed in response to it. Your microbiome became equipped to handle this microbial diversity. It learned to distinguish friend from foe. Now, in just a few decades, we've created an almost sterile food environment. Pre-washed, pre-packaged, pesticide-treated, microbe-free. Your food is more sterile now than it's ever been in human history. Is it safer? In some ways, yes. We've eliminated certain pathogens. We've reduced certain foodborne illnesses. Is it optimal for your gut health? The research increasingly suggests no, it's cleaner, but it might not be healthier. Here's my practical recommendation based on all this research. This is what I would do if I were optimizing my own health. The ideal approach is this. First, eat strawberries regularly. Whether hydroponic or soil grown, strawberries are nutritional superstars. They're among the healthiest foods you can eat. The difference between a perfect strawberry and a good strawberry pales in comparison to the difference between eating strawberries and eating processed snacks. Eating strawberries is always the right choice. Second, prioritize soil grown when possible. The research consistently shows higher antioxidant capacity and prebiotic potential. If you have access to organic or locally grown soil strawberries, they're worth the extra cost. They're worth paying more. Third, don't fear conventional strawberries. The pesticide levels are safe. The risk is minimal. Don't avoid them based on fear. If hydroponic or conventional are your only options, eat them without guilt. Fourth, wash all strawberries thoroughly, not just for pesticide residues, but for general food safety. Wash them gently under running water, but understand that thorough washing won't remove all beneficial microbes. There will still be microbial benefit from soil-grown berries. The bacteria can't all be washed away. Fifth, eat the whole berry, including the seeds. Most nutrients and fiber are concentrated in the skin and seed area. Don't peel your strawberries. Don't remove the seeds. Eat the whole thing. Sixth, eat seasonally when possible. Soil-grown strawberries in season are superior to hydroponic strawberries shipped across the globe. Plus, seasonal eating naturally diversifies your food sources. You eat different foods in different seasons. Your microbiome benefits from that diversity. Seventh, support your microbiome holistically. Strawberries alone won't fix a damaged microbiome. You need a comprehensive approach. Focus on fiber diversity. Eat many different types of fiber from many different sources. Eat fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir. Reduce stress. Get adequate sleep. Move your body. These things matter as much as the strawberries. Here's what's fascinating. The farming industry is starting to listen. Researchers are now working on hybrid systems, taking the best of both worlds. hydroponic systems that incorporate beneficial microbes, soil based systems optimized for yield efficiency, container farming with sophisticated environmental controls. Some of the most cutting edge agricultural research is exploring how to recreate the microbial complexity of natural soil systems while maintaining the efficiency of hydroponics. They're asking, can we have both? Can we have efficiency and complexity? The answer might be yes. The future of food production might not be either or. It might be both and. It might be a synthesis. It might be vertical farms with living soil. It might be hydroponic systems inoculated with beneficial microbes. But for now, in 2026, the evidence is clear. If gut health is your priority, soil grown strawberries have a measurable advantage. The research supports this. The data supports this. That said, perfectly adequate nutrition from hydroponic strawberries beats no strawberries at all. Don't skip strawberries because they're not perfect. Good is better than perfect if perfect isn't available. Remember that strawberry you imagined at the beginning? The one glistening with morning dew? The reality is, it matters where it came from. Not because of fear, not because conventional food is poison, but because your gut, that 100 trillion strong civilization inside you, has been shaped by millions of years of eating food grown in soil. Soil grown strawberries represent a conversation between you and nature, a continuation of a dialogue that's been happening since humans first learned to gather food. Every bite connects you to the earth, to the soil, to the microbial life that created the strawberry. Hydroponic strawberries represent efficiency and innovation. They represent humanity's ability to engineer solutions to feed a growing population. They represent our ingenuity and our ability to solve problems. And that's genuinely valuable. That's genuinely important. But they're not the same thing. They're different, fundamentally different. The choice you make matters, not in the way of dramatic health transformations, but in the quiet, cumulative way that everyday choices compound over a lifetime. Every strawberry you eat shapes your microbiome. Every choice adds up. Over months and years, these choices matter. So choose thoughtfully. Choose based on what you know now. Educate yourself, make informed decisions, and support the future of agriculture that honors both efficiency and the ancient wisdom of soil. Support farmers who work with nature. Support innovation in farming technology. Support the future you want to eat. Your gut will thank you. Your microbiome will adapt. Your health will improve. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, if you learned something new, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who cares about their health. And in the comments below, I'd love to hear, which strawberries do you choose and why? What's your reasoning? Let me know.